Can you feel it? It's time. It's time for every one of us. If we get knocked down, we won't just get up. It's time we all rise up. Rise up. When stars step up. Rise up. When a dome stands up. When a city lights up. Rise up. We all rise up together. Touchdown! When we come on the field, we rise up. Rise up. From kickoff to the last play, we rise up. This is our time, Atlanta. We've been knocking on the door, and now it's time to blow it up. Tell me, what do Falcons do? Rise up. What do Falcons do? Falcons rise up. That's what I'm talking about.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of All In with Nate. I didn't get a chance to do the recap like I planned on earlier this week, but we definitely going to talk about the Cowboys victory, and we're going to talk about the game today against the Saints for all of you that's tuned in. Because first thing first, I will be sharing a link. Shout out to my boy Buddy Buckets. He's a Cowboys fan. He came here for the game, and he did a game recap. I'll be sure to share the link in the description below once you get a chance to be done with the show. Make sure you tune into it. It was a good recap. He's taking it from a Cowboys fan perspective. So, fun experience, man. Y'all might want to go support it because it was a fun video. And you probably see me and you'll see us in our activities that day. But Falcons got a good victory against the Dallas Cowboys on last Sunday to improve to 6-3. This is the first time we've been 6-3 since the Super Bowl season in 2016, and that was a big win for the Falcons. Although Dallas is going through it right now. Dak Prescott went out of that game in the third quarter. We all thought it was just he was checked out of the game or got benched, but come to find out he ended up having a season-ending hamstring surgery. So the Cowboys are definitely in a different spot now than they were 1 week ago. So, but again, even with that being said, the Falcons were dominating that game prior to him being injured. And that was arguably one of the best games of the season for the Falcons because from start to finish, the pass rush woke up in that game. Kirk Cousins and company got 3 touchdowns on the board that day. 4. It was 4. They scored 4 touchdowns. Maybe the game should have been a lot worse than it was, but the Falcons, it never felt like they were out of control of that game. I can say that much. But again, the Falcons won 27-21, improved to 6-3. They are got some help against the Chiefs, got some help from Kansas City. Kansas City beat the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. So now the Falcons have a comfortable 2-game lead in the division, technically 3 because you swept Tampa Bay. And with the Saints pending today, if the Falcons was to win this game, you go to 5-0 in the division. Your next game in the division is the last game of the season against the Carolina Panthers. And at this point, you have not lost a divisional game. If they win today, I don't want to count things before it gets here too soon, but in all intents and purposes, this division may be over. And you might start prepping yourself for a playoff appearance at this point. That's going to be a conversation we'll have after this Saints game today. I'm not going to take them lightly. Just fired Dennis Allen, and we'll be looking to see what happens. What does that team look like post Dennis Allen? Now, they got injuries. Of course, they are way more banged up than they were when we seen them in week 4. Chris Olave is not even going to play this game. He may not very well play the rest of the season. He's on injury reserve. They got Derek Carr back for this game. They have Kamara. They have Taysom Hill. But really, they've been dealing with injuries, and then you're in a weird spot because you haven't won a game since the week 2 game against the Cowboys, and what are you going to do at this point? But that's something I'm going to talk about in a minute. Let me get to this recap of the Cowboy win first. I'm going to go to my YouTube and show you guys. We'll talk about the highlights from the game. Let me pull it up on the big screen. 1 second. Let me take my my logo down. Give me a second, and we'll look over this game. May take myself off the screen totally, but I'm trying to keep myself up there. I'll do this. Okay, here we go. So this is the first Cowboy drive. They were moving the ball without problems at first, but the bend don't break defense. Got to stop. By the way, Caden Nelson had a really good game on Sunday. I hope they utilize him more as a pass rusher. This was the second Falcon drive. And by the way, Darnell Mooney, man, we talk about how solid Kirk Cousins has been for the Falcons. Darnell Mooney has been everything that you can ask for. This guy right here, Bijan Robinson, don't know if a lot of fans notice, he is 69 yards away from having 1,000 total yards from the line of scrimmage through the first 9 weeks, which is incredible. So Drake London, that's one of the 2 receptions he made. Of course, he made this ridiculous touchdown catch. And unfortunately, he got hurt the rest of this game. I'm hoping that he's healthy today. He is going to play against the Saints. So we will be interested to see how the Falcons utilize him in this game. But that was a crazy catch right here. And let's see. I think this might have been the back-to-back sack drive. Or is it? Let me see. Yeah, Arnold Ebiketie, he has ended up getting the sack party started. And he's actually played a bit better over the last couple of weeks. I know he was one of the guys I was very low on at a point, but he played well against that Cowboys offensive line. And then Grady got in there and got a sack. He's another player I'm hoping that is okay. He had an Achilles situation at midway through that Cowboy game, and they're saying he's good to go, but we'll see. Another thing, we went for it on 4th down. It was a big 4th down conversion right here that we got. We've been actually converting the ball really well on 4th down this season. I must say that as well. And then this was a goofy play call by the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb, but great play by Caden Ellis here, because I'm going to be honest with you. If he would have gotten to that edge, he might have had a big play. Now, this is the 4th and 3. This was an outstanding play call. This was a dot by Kirk Cousins and even a better reception by Darnell Mooney to put us up 14-3. This right here essentially put this game in a crazy spot for the Cowboys, and this was probably the goofiest play. I was hoping Detroit Brooks could have picked that. That could have been a pick 6 for him. I was hoping he could have picked it, but he didn't. But the Falcons took over in a great position, and this guy right here, Bijan's going to break one of these very, very soon, because his cuts are ridiculous. His cuts are ridiculous, man. He's getting better each week. And this was a really good play call right here. This was a touchdown to Raymond McLeod, who basically he cooked them off the line. So this is another guy. And this also, seeing Raymond McLeod produce, it was his first touchdown as a Falcon. And this was another solid play. Darnell Mooney has continuously impressed each week. It speaks volumes to what better quarterback play would do for you. See what this play was on defense. This was a sack. This was also a Caden Ellis. Again, Caden Ellis had a really good game at the office. I think he needs to be the straight-up pass rusher. He may possibly be that with the return of Troy Anderson. This was a good breakup by the Falcons defense. See what this was right here. I think this was that decent return by Raymond McLeod. This was actually Avery Williams. I'm sorry. It's been some days, so I'm just getting refamiliarized with this game. Now, this play right here shows the chemistry between Bijan and Kirk. This was a ridiculous play because he came back for the ball, and that right there made a big play in this drive. And this guy right here, the bell cow, Tyler Algier, did what he does best. He carried it into the end zone to really put this game away. This is really the game clincher right here. A lot of Cowboy fans left the building after this play right here. So that was a big play for the offense to put this one away. And then, of course, Cooper Rush had to come in after Dak Prescott got hurt. D'Angelo Malone, he sniffed out this screen play. That was a big play by D'Angelo Malone. And Ebiketie was starting to get pressure. Now, this was awful by CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, that was really a good throw by Cooper Rush. And if CeeDee Lamb stays with that ball, that's a touchdown. But then the Falcons come up with a big stop on fourth down. I was glad to see that breakup, great breakup by D. Alford on Kevontae Turpin. So the Falcons got out of there, got a win. It's a great game, man. The Falcons came to play. And once again, these are the type of games that you want to win. Because, again, you needed to put some distance in the division. And you also need to win outside of the NFC South. Your two wins prior to last Sunday were the Saints in a close one and the Bucs in that Thursday night nail biter that everybody remember. So, to get another win at home outside of the division was big for the Falcons. At this point, you need to win the games you're supposed to win. That was one of those games where Dallas was coming in reeling. Dallas still got a rough stretch after this. They got the Eagles today. They got the Commanders and the Texans, I believe, in the coming week. So they got a lot of tough games coming up down the stretch. But for the Falcons, that was a big win. They needed that win. And you get back to 3-3 at home, because I'm going to be honest, the Falcons have been shaky at best at home. However, we have had a tough week. Our first two home games was the Steelers and the Chiefs. So, I mean, give or take, look at where they're at right now. The Chiefs still ain't lost a game. The Steelers are having a really good season under Russell Wilson. So, again, those are games that you can say, hey, they lost close or whatever. But that Seattle game was just a complete disaster. We just did not show up that day. That was probably the worst game of the season. But the Falcons are 3-3 at home, and we've played a lot of home games. I said it from the start of the season that the Falcons have a ton of home games, and they had a ton of home games. The Falcons will be on the road this Sunday. They'll be at Denver next Sunday. It's a 4:00 game. We got a bye week in 2 weeks. And then we come back and play the Chargers. So it's going to kind of even itself out, but the Falcons will get away for the Benz for a little bit. But again, that's a good win for the Falcons. Some of the things I still say that I would like to see with this unit, I want to see them be able to put a game away. Because, I mean, Dallas got a garbage touchdown and they pass in that onside kick. I'm not going to lie. 2020 started to creep in my eyes. I'm like, man, they better not recover this onside kick, and we have to defend for a possible win again. Like, I was very nervous about it. I'm not gonna lie, but they found a way to get the win. They did what they're supposed to do. Another thing I say, we need to continue to see some consistency in the pass rush. Yes, that was their best game of the season, but we're still one of the worst teams in the league as far as sacking the quarterback, and that got to improve. Because at the end of the day, you might get away with that against some of these teams that's not to your standard. But when you start to put yourself, because let's be honest, all intention purposes, if the Falcons win, I'm not counting the game earlier than it should be. If the Falcons win today, you now can start looking at a potential, this is the division. The division is over. So now you got to start measuring yourself up against the Phillies, the Detroits, the Washingtons, the Green Bay. You got to start looking up at San Francisco got Christian McCaffrey coming back today. So you have to start measuring yourself to the rest of the field in the NFC, because at this point, you did not make a move at a trade deadline, which I don't blame them for not doing it. I wish we could have made a small move, but of course we lost the 5th rounder for Kirk Cousins. That's the tampering thing. We traded a 3rd for Judon. So you now really got to find out, what do you have on your team? And I know I've been really critical of the defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, but a lot of it is not on Jimmy Lake. This team, this personnel is not a 3-4 personnel. They're more 4-3. So he got to kind of figure out who fits where. That's why I also said that they need to give Caden Ellison-Byrne at pass rusher this game against New Orleans and going forward, because I've seen the statistic. Caden Ellis really got some pressure at the quarterback in that game, so he need to get more reps. They need to go. If Judah's going to be your premier pass rusher, you got to go pass rush by committee. At this point, you got to let Caden Ellis get a chance to rush the quarterback. Let Arnold Ebiketie get an opportunity to get at the quarterback, because you got to find a pass rush at this point. Don't just limit yourself to saying, okay, we're going to just stick with this group because this is who we got. No, don't stick with the group because this is what you got. Make sure that you can get consistent pressure on the quarterback because, again, you're going to have to find a pass rush over these next couple of weeks. You still got some tough games down the stretch. You still got Minnesota in several weeks. You got the Chargers coming in after the bye. You got the Broncos in Denver next week. So you need to make sure that you get these games, get a way to get some pressure on the quarterback when it's all said and done because, again, you got a really solid unit on that back end, but they don't need to have to defend the whole game. And that's where the problem comes into with the Atlanta Falcons is the team, they got to get off the field on third down. Like, as far your offense is giving you enough to win most of these games. So defensively, you got to start making moves. You got to start getting off that field on third down. You got to start giving yourself better opportunities on the field because we're still the second worst team in the NFL as far as the time of possession. Teams are still winning time of possession on the Falcons, and they got to stop allowing that to happen because, again, you may run into a physical rushing attack, and they may just ground and pound. So you got to get that together going forward as the season goes along because now, as you continue to win games, you got to start. You don't want to look ahead to the playoffs, but you got to start measuring yourself while handling your schedule because once the playoffs get started, that's what's going to matter down the stretch. And again, the Falcons are middle of the pack as far as rush defense, pass defense. So a lot of it has to be addressed, and it got to be addressed quick. So good win for the Falcons, though, regardless. Also, you want to continue to build off that rushing attack because it seems as if Bijan is starting to get in a groove. You still want to get Tyler Algier involved, but I mean, again, not too many complaints on offense. I would love to see them continue to keep up the pace they've been on. They've actually been really productive over the last couple of weeks. So not too many things is really knocking on them right now. But again, like I said, the number one thing for this team is getting after that quarterback. They got to start getting off that field. They got to start putting their offense in position to have solid drives, have solid games on offense so they can be able to limit opposing team from getting back in the ball game. And that's going to be key today against the Saints too, because they're going to try to throw everything in the book at us to win this game. So defense got to come and play, and they don't need to allow a team to hang around at all. But let me go to the stat line real quick for this Falcon Cowboy victory. 1 second. Let's pull this up. Okay, so again, this is the stat line for the hold on, let me go back. I'm gonna go back to this because as you see, 27-21 Falcons victory. Let's see. Dak Prescott was 18 of 24 for 133 and a touchdown. He got sacked 3 times. Still had a QB rating of 101.6. Cooper Rush was 13 of 25. They had to throw the ball a lot at the end for 115 and a touchdown. QB rating of 77.9. Kirk Cousins, 19 of 24, 222, 3 touchdowns, got sacked twice, 144 quarterback rate. Listen, when I tell you that Kirk Cousins has activated this offense, Kirk Cousins has played better week after week after week. He don't have to put up 300 yards in a win. You give me 220 and 3 touchdowns, no picks. That's all I need. You're giving me the production that I need in the air. You're doing what it takes to win the ball game for us. And Kirk has been really solid. And all those folks that were anti-Kirk, I hope y'all quiet right now. This man has put us in position to return to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. So get that man his props. Long season still to go. I know a lot of you are on the he need to produce in the playoffs, which is true. But again, that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get back to that position of making the postseason. So again, good win for the Falcons. Good win for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been a really solid signing for us. And I know a lot of folks was like, y'all paid him so much money, but Kirk has given us exactly what I was hoping he would give us short term. He has gotten guys involved. Okay, on the rushing numbers, Rico Dowdle had 12 of 75. This is a part of the defense that I still have problems with. We don't defend the run well, and to me, that's a problem. You're going to run into that issue if it doesn't change when you play your, like even today with Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. We know New Orleans is going to try to use a lot of them in this game. So again, you need to be able to stop the run. Dak Prescott had 3 runs. He had that 22-yard run. CeeDee Lamb had an 18-yard rush. Dalvin Cook had 1 carry. So did Cooper Rush, and so did their tight end. On our side, Bijan 19 for 86. He had a 16-yard. His one was 16. Tyler Algier 6 of 18. Ray McLeod got like a jet sweep for 7 yards. And then a minus 11 for Kirk Cousins as far as like getting sacked or whatever. But again, when you look at these numbers, Bijan is starting to produce. But I will say this: there's the only thing I'll say about this. I want to see a split carry. I want to see 15 and 10 in this situation because Tyler Algier still is a really good. When he gets in the groove, he gets in the groove. That's the bell kind of offense. So let Bijan do what Bijan does best, but also still continue to keep Tyler Algier involved in this game. Now, receiving total, Jake Ferguson had 7 for 71, no touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 8 for 47. They really did a good job on CeeDee Lamb. Kevontae Turpin, 3 for 36. Rico Dowdle, 5 of 32. And by the way, that was the wackiest Falcon-like touchdown that we surrendered to Rico Dowdle in the end zone. That was so annoying. That cannot happen. But those are things that happen when you don't bring down the quarterback. That happens. Okay, let's see. Rest of the numbers. Jalen Tolbert had a touchdown reception. But see, they didn't really do a lot passing-wise. Now, on our end, Darnell Mooney, what is that to say, man? Darnell Mooney has been probably the steal of free agency as far as on offense. 5 for 88 in the touchdown. Bijan had 7 for 59. Ray McLeod had 3 for 28. And actually his first touchdown of the season. And Drake London, man, he had a hip injury. He was 2 for 27 in a touchdown. That was on the second drive, actually. So I hate that he got injured. I hope he's productive enough to be back with us today and not a decoy. I hope they're not on that pace. Kyle Pitts, 1 catch for 11 yards. He only got targeted 1 time, but also to me, I still ride the fence with Kyle Pitts because I feel like 1 week he's that matchup nightmare. And the next week he doesn't do anything. So I think that's one thing that we got to figure out what's going to happen as far as him going forward. But again, he got the quarterback here that can get him going. We just got to see how that continues to play out throughout the rest of the season. Even with that being said, Kyle Pitts still statistically is still one of the most productive tight ends of this season, which is a crazy thing to say. But I mean, when you look at the statistics on the year, matter of fact, I want to try to find out who's the leader right now. I want to say he's in the top 5, but I'm going to make sure before I confirm that. I'm checking right now. Kyle Pitts is actually number 6. Or is he? Let me make sure. No, I'm wrong. He's number 5. The only tight ends that are ahead of him right now, Brock Bowers, is actually leading. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldog, is leading the NFL in receiving with 580. George Kittle has 503. Trey McBride has 481. Kelsey has 435. So Kyle Pitts has 430 receptions on the season. And he's doing that with way less receptions than the rest of the field. So that tells you if he really got involved in the offense, that he would be a major problem as far as the tight ends in the National Football League. So we'll see what happens going forward with that. But hold on, I'll pull that up on this. Hold on, I'll wait because I still got this. This is up because I'm talking about the stats. But getting back to the statistics of this game, Kirk Cousins had 2 fumbles. He lost one, but thankfully, Ray and Bijan had both had recoveries. Cooper Rush lost a fumble that was recovered. I don't think anybody. Oh well, Kirk Cousins had that strip sack, and then Donovan Wilson got that recovery on defense. That was a fumble. Okay, let's see. Dallas, as far as on defense, Eric Kendricks led the team with 9 tackles, 5 solo tackles. Donovan Wilson got that tackle for a loss. Kalen Carson had 7 tackles. Avarion Overshawn had 7 tackles. Jordan Lewis had 6. Let's see who else. Just looking at the stat line, Carl Lawson had 2 sacks. Both of the sacks in the game was by Carl Lawson. And I'm sure he'll be happy to have I think Michael Parsons is supposed to play for the Cowboys today, so they'll be glad to have him back. So nobody else really did anything productive on that side. Caden Ellis, 13 tackles, 8 solo, a sack, and 2 tackles for a loss, 3 quarterback hits. He needs to be a pass rusher, not a linebacker. Hopefully they allow that to be in fruition with the return of Troy Anderson today. They got to let that man get back to being as a pass rusher. Nate Landman, 10 tackles with 4 solo. He had a big play on that 4th down that was stopped on CeeDee Lamb play. AJ Terrell, 9 tackles, 5 solo. D Offer, 8 tackles, 7 solo, 2 pass breakups. Jesse Bates with 6 solo and 2 and a pass breakup. Evan Katie had 5 and a sack. Justin Simmons had 4 and 3 solo. Grady Jarrett had the other sack. And as you see, the rest of them, Malone had a tackle for a loss. Natron Brooks, as you see, it's kind of even itself out as far as, let me see what that one was. Taquan got a quarterback hit as well. So, again, good day at the office. They did what you needed them to do, honestly, for the Falcons. As you see, Avery Williams had one decent kick return. Turpin had a decent kick return. River McLeod had 1. Turpin had 3 punt returns. Avery Williams had 1. They passed up a couple of 4th downs, and I don't blame him because he's been off, to say the least. For the Falcons the last couple of weeks. Brandon Aubrey had that 57. Brandon Aubrey is one of the best kickers in the league. Keep an eye out on him if you're playing fantasy football. He's one of those guys that he's gonna be a fantasy problem going forward. And that's just some fantasy stuff I'm throwing out there. But let's go over here. There was 72,665. Definitely was a good Falcon. Definitely a good crowd at that game. I definitely was impressed with the crowd for sure. Let's go to the team stats before I come out of this one. Dallas had more passing first downs than the Falcons. The Cowboys was 3 of 13 on 3rd down. It was good by the Falcon defense. The Falcons offense wasn't the best on 3rd down, on Sunday, 4 of 13. Cowboys were 1 of 5 on 4th down. The Falcons converted both of theirs, including that 1 touchdown. Cowboys ran more plays, had more total yards, same drives. They were better than us in passing, better than us in rushing. They had the ball a little bit longer than we did, but again, they had 9 penalties to the Falcons 4. The Falcons had that 1 play where it was a strip sack that's 3 points that if you don't have, that's probably the game's probably worse than it was. So that's the stat line of this game. And of course, like I said, needed that win. Now you move on to today against the New Orleans Saints. The game is at 1:00 today on Fox. Again, the Falcons cannot take this game lightly. They need to win this game. And they don't need to sit here and look at the fact that Dennis Allen is gone. They're going to play us tough. I expect their best shot. I have to be brutally honest. I don't care who's on their team, who's limited on their team. They're going to give us they're going to give us their best chances in this game because they don't have anything to lose. And they know that they can play spoiler for the Falcons. They can play spoiler for the Falcons and make the division race a little closer. That's what they're going to try to do in this game. Anything other than that, That's the problem that they'll be running into for the Saints. The Saints they're gonna play us tough just because it's us. Just because it's us. We expect their best shot. At our end, we gotta get after Derek Carr. Straight gotta get after Derek Carr. We cannot sit there and let that man get going. They have not been in a groove all season. We cannot sit there and let these guys get going. They can't. But the pass rush also got to wake up because let's be honest, they have not been able to we have not been able to do a lot as far as getting after the quarterback. We only have 9 sacks on the season, which is embarrassing to say the least. So you got to get some sacks. You got to get after Derek Carr. You got to make that game, take that game out of the equation. Also, another thing, Troy Anderson and Nate Landman has got to be ready to defend them tight ends because Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau can't have a decent game if that middle of the field is not protected. And Jake, we've been really bad against tight ends this year. So they're gonna be feeding. Let's be honest, it's gonna be a tight end, Taysom, Alvin Kamara. You don't have a lot of options in the passing attack. Lock these boys up. Straight up. You got to. Because at this point, you're now running into a situation where these guys are depleted. You got to break it. You got to keep them depleted, to be real with you. And also, they traded Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders. So you now got an interesting matchup. You got Alontae Taylor is their CB1. He's a good corner. But you got Shamar John Charles, and then you got Ugo Amadi in the slot now. Because with Kool-Aid still out with a hamstring injury, you got a favorable matchup in that secondary. So it's time to attack those boys up front. You got to, plain and simple. Also, you cannot let Alvin Kamara get going. Alvin Kamara, by the way, just I've seen this a couple days ago. So Kamara's probably definitely going to break the Saints all-time rushing record on Sunday. He's 12 yards short. So he'll probably get that. But again, do not allow him to get going. Do not allow him to give them what they need as far as winning this game. They got to be able to do what they can. So once again, you got to be able to put these boys. Let's just be real. You got to be able to get this win. You cannot sit here and take these guys lightly. I need to see a win today. With that being said, I'm going to pick the Falcons to win 27-14. I think the Falcons will come to play today. I think the Saints will give us a game, and I think it'll be a second half where you pull away. That's what I think is going to happen today. We need this win. We can really put this division in ice if we get a win today. But not going to count any games before it's started. That's a 1:00 start. I will be back on here later on to recap the game. Of course, we're going to talk about where the state of the Falcons is at that point. I mean, again, the Falcons are in a good spot. So win your games. You got the rest of your season ahead of you. Let's see what happens. Let's see, can we lock up our first division title since 2016? And until then, this has been an episode of All In with Nate. It is a special edition. This is This Week in Falcons Football. But again, if you missed what I said earlier, I'm going to be putting in the description a link to this Falcon Cowboy vlog that my boy Buddy did in the game that we played. So you get a chance to see the fun that we had out there. You get a chance to see. You'll see me a couple times in this video, but it's from his perspective. But that's something that I like to get a chance to see is those experiences from the game. That's something I may even consider in the future, but we'll see. But until then, this has been an episode of All In with Nate, This Week in Falcons Football. Have a great Sunday. Rise up, beat the Saints. Let's get the sweep.